As we stood on the pier, we watched the young people get into the canoes to go out across the lake. It was summer camp many, many years ago. In fact, my kids were still just kids. I think the oldest one at the time would have been a middle teenager, maybe 14 or 15. And all the high school age kids were dragging the canoes out, and some had life jackets on and some didn't. And all the superstar athlete, football playing looking guys, 4 or 5 of them got in one canoe, and all the primpy cheerleader wearing makeup and hairstyled at the summer camp looking girls were in another one. And then the group that I would call the misfits were getting in their own canoe. Now, they kind of had their own destiny set out before they started because every one of them already had their life jackets on. As they tried to board the canoe on dry ground, they would fall out, they would tip over, you could just see their voyage coming to a quick end or an abrupt end somewhere close to the shore, because just getting off the bank in their canoe was a challenge all by itself. The girls took off out across the lake first because the guys were horsing around with each other before they got in the boat, and the whole lake probably wasn't, I don't know, 200 yards across. It was several hundred yards long. It was only 200 yards across, so we could see them all the way across the lake. And as the girls began to diligently row across the lake, the young men decided, we're going to catch them. And so they took off quite a bit behind them, but paddled a lot faster and chased the girls down in their boat. As they got a little bit closer, the girls would try to maneuver to one direction or another, and the guys would quickly catch them. And, you know, being the studly teenage guys that they were, they pretty much felt themselves to be invincible. At one point, one of the guys in the boat decided that he was going to get the girls nice and wet, or maybe even just jump in their boat. It was really hard to tell which of those two was his intention. But as the boys' boat would maneuver one side to the other, they kind of chased the girls into a corner and then got right up beside them. And this young man stood up in his boat and did his best Tarzan yell, was pounding on his chest, and looked at the girls' boat, and you could see the look in his face. That smile that says, I'm coming to see you, and you should be ready. Well, the girls did everything they could. They were panicking. They were doing everything they could to keep him from jumping. And as he leaped from his boat into their boat, his push turned the boys' boat over. And while he was midair, about to land in the girls' boat, one of the girls got smart and realized, I can't paddle fast enough, but if I push the oar down far enough, maybe I can hit the bottom of the lake. And she did. And she shoved really hard just at the right moment, and he did a really nice belly flop right into the lake. Of course, we all got a great laugh out of that. All the parents standing on the pier were cheering for the girls. Yay! They got away from the nemesis, the guys that wanted to turn them over. And, of course, we all celebrated the fact that all of these arrogant boys were now standing in the lake instead of floating around in their boat, and everything in their boat was soaked. But the moral of the story is really pretty simple. And that is, it doesn't matter if you're like the young ladies, innocent. You're doing nothing wrong. There's no reason why your boat should be turned over, except that someone is determined that your boat will be turned over in life. Or perhaps you're like one of the other guys in the boat and you're thinking, I'm not an accomplice to this. All I did was paddle, but now my boat's been turned over and everything I have is underwater. Or maybe you're like the misfits and you realize that it's just because of the people that I hang out with, I am destined to see my boat turned over in the lake. The reality is we're all going to meet those points in life when our boat is going to get turned over. And we're going to have a couple of choices at that point. You can get out of the boat as it's turning over and you can begin to tread water and just stay alive. You can get out of the boat as you realize that it's being turned over and you can swim back to the shore and start over again. Or you can be so determined that you get out of the boat and you learn to walk on water. Now, obviously, walking on water is a skill set reserved for very few. But the idea that you can tread water, meaning just stay right where your boat got turned over and survive, would be the same as if you lost your job and decided, I'm just going to stay unemployed and collect my unemployment check and hope my life gets better. If you were to say, well, I'm not going to tread water, I'm not going to stay right where I am, I'm not content to be complacent, I want to do something better, then you might be the one who swims to the shore. But let me ask you this. Will you swim to the nearest shore, meaning take the easiest path? Will you take the job that seems like it's right in front of you because, well, that's the easy thing to do? Or are you willing to say, I know it's going to take more work, but I'm going to take this opportunity to go to the next level? Even though it's a little more effort, even though it will take a little more time, even though I will have to work harder. Or will you be the one who says, forget all of the circumstances, forget all of the past, forget everything up to this point. I am going to do something different with my life. I will change my circle of friends. I will increase my education level. I will seek out or create new opportunities that no one knew were there. See, all of those are choices and options for all of us. Every one of us who faces that moment when the job comes to an end, the contract is over, the house has been sold out from under you, the opportunity that you thought was sitting in front of you is vanishing. You can tread water and stay where you are. You can swim to the nearest shore and hope that the path of least resistance makes life easy. Or you can find a way to do something entirely different. See, the young ladies also realized they had one other option. No matter what was coming at them, their awareness of their surroundings allowed them to see what would be their wet demise of their beautiful hair and makeup and their lovely, cute, adorable clothes. And they simply avoided the problem. I want to close with an idea I read in a book from Tom Peters probably 15 years ago. It may have been longer than that. The book is called Brand U50 by Tom Peters. It's a very small book, small and square and not very thick in pages. But he offered an idea that fits right in line with this, will you walk on water, will you swim, or will you just tread water? He said, understand that the idea of job security is a myth. There is no such thing anymore. The idea of working in a company until you retire happens for very, very few people. But the idea of employment security is understanding the notion that your skill set, your drive, your stick-to-itiveness, and you're willing to be a go-getter make you the kind of person that any kind of company, for any kind of reason, wants on their team. That's the kind of skill sets that you need to develop. That's the kind of who you need to become. Don't worry about getting your boat turned over. If you don't have a flotation device, you better be ready to swim or walk to the nearest shore. But when you have the chance to shake the paradigm, to change things up completely and walk on the water, oh man, sometimes that's the best chance ever. Sometimes avoiding the overturn cuts off the greatest opportunity. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Make sure you crush that subscribe button on Facebook or YouTube, whichever one suits you best. I know as it's live streamed on both places, there are people who are committed to one platform or the other, and I'm totally okay with that. Also, Tell It Like It Is will soon be airing on KHFD in Dallas-Fort Worth twice a day, 7 days a week. So you want to make sure you want to catch it there. And September the 9th at the Crossroads Diner on Preston Road in Dallas, we're going to have the Transforming Stories workshop where you will have a chance to learn to tell a 2-minute story, taking an incident that you've experienced in life, bringing that incident into a 2-minute window and attaching a call to action at the very end so that you can master the craft of telling a story in a short period of time that makes huge impact. It doesn't matter if you're in sales or parenting, if you're a preacher or a teacher, if you're a seminar leader, if you can learn to communicate more concisely, you can have more impact. I'd love for you to check it out, transformingstories2017.eventbrite.com. Have a blessed day.